Ladies and gentlemen, it's a new day for us on Press R, and we are happy that you are on board your favorite Sunday afternoon debate program on CRTV. On today's edition of Press R, we're going to look at the situation in the Northwest and Southwest region concerning the regionalization of the two countries that form part of the whole, that is Cameroon, scoring regional assemblies 2 years after. It's our focus on Press R today, and we have invited the topmost regional authorities of the two regions of Cameroon, where we know that they have what we call a special status, different from the other 8 regions of the country. And this comes from a background of their cultural heritage. We all know that. We have the president of the Northwest Regional Assembly in the person of Professor Fru Angwafo III. No other person could be here to talk about regional activities than you, Prof. We are pleased to have someone like you on Press R set this Sunday. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kilian Ndah. It's a pleasure to be with you and to inform our viewers as best as we can on the Northwest Regional Assembly.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have you on Press R set. Prof, to my right, we have your counterpart from the Southwest region, Mr. Elango Zacchaeus Bakuma, who is the president of the Southwest Regional Assembly. What honor do we have here today on CRTV, sir, to have you on our set? You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kilian Ndah, for inviting me to this very important and popular program. We're privileged to be here today to inform the population of the function of Southwest Regional Assembly.
Thank you very much. It's an honor, and I know our viewers are out there in their thousands and ready to know exactly what you are doing. Richard Ndah Lajong is the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Herald Tribune newspaper. Richard, you're welcome once again to our set.
Thank you, Kilian. It's a pleasure to be on set after a while, and appreciate the fact that we have 2 prominent personalities from the 2 regions who are going to enlighten the public, especially onto the regional councils which they represent.
Yes, and that's why they are here. Richard, you're going to be with me on the set to look at what they are saying, and we're going to debate that together. There's a 4th guest, and who is an official from the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Authorities and Local Development. Thank you for that. He is Mr. Cho Ernest Ngu, Director of Human Resources of Regional and Local Authorities. As I said, he is an official from the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Development. That's what we're going to be talking about, as I told you, assessing the regional assemblies of the Northwest and Southwest 2 years after. Are they playing their role well? Are they calming down the situation? Because that exactly is what the devolution of powers were meant for, to make sure that people get involved in governing themselves. While we wait for Mr. Cho Ernest, we're going to set the program rolling with the week in retrospect, that is newspaper review done for us by Yoti Kale Lesonge. Yoti, you read the papers for Press R.
Newspaper lovers woke up to the rising hate speech and xenophobia in Cameroon. The gatekeepers spared no ink in their narratives. The Horizon opines in an article that the solution starts with the government, a government the Herald Tribune projects talking tough, while Newswatch opines that the government backs but fails to bite as ethnic clashes erupt in Bia's fief. pinpointing the discord between native Bulus, Bamuns and Bamileke traders. The Horizon further explains that it's due to the suspicious death of an indigenous businessman. The same print press, however, captures President Biya demanding action, instructions the Minister of Territorial Administration heeds to, outlining an oppression plan. The Guardian Post seems to agree when it headlines that Biya is aware of those spewing xenophobia and hate speech. The same paper has an editorial on the government dangling a heavy hammer over perpetrators of xenophobia and hate speech. To top it all, Barrister Nico Halley tells Newswatch that only people with complex are xenophobic. Before readers can come to terms with the happening, news on the kidnapping of women in Big Babanki hit the kiosks, another Ambazonia atrocity, the papers recount. Municipal Updates explains that it is owing to the protests against Ambazonia fighters gaining steam in the locality. The Herald Tribune sympathizes with the women subjected to torture. Cameroon Tribune describes it as heartless, and Municipal Updates concurs. In another edition of the same paper, the population begs the government for a military base to end such atrocities. The Guardian Post spotlights the SDO of Mezam promising help to the Yamba fighters. Newswatch discloses that the women from Kejunkiku in Tuba subdivision were kidnapped for rejecting to pay a monthly imposed tax of 5,000 CFA francs. The good news is that the women have been released. The construction of a palm oil processing mill in Mbuti also came to the limelight this week, as seen on Eco Outlook. Just about the same time, the general manager of Pamol, the one-time palm oil producing giant, reveals to Summit magazine that palm oil plantations will never die. The Agriculture, Infrastructure and Value Chain Development Projects boss also cues in, emphasizing that AIVD will transform the southwest region, indicating that the creation of 10,000 jobs is envisaged. The same magazine profiles the 10 richest Cameroonians in its business column. Protesting nurses were also spotlighted this week in the papers. Meanwhile, Summit magazine writes in depth on when hospitals cease to become healing homes. Other stories of interest in this week's papers include the University of Buya's 30th anniversary celebration, the Northwest Regional Assembly boss calling for a quality execution of 2023 contracts, and the UNDP renewing her support for the reconstruction plan.
Thank you very much, Yoti Kalili Songe, for the press review. And we're going to go straight, ladies and gentlemen, to our discussion. If you are just joining us, this is your favorite program, Press Hour, and we are broadcasting live from the CRTV Production Center at Mbalatu in Yaoundé. Our topic is we want to score the regional assemblies of Northwest and Southwest regions 2 years after getting into full function, if you like, full option. We have the presidents, the 2 presidents of the regional assemblies from the Northwest and Southwest regions. And we just want to ask you this first question. How do you feel? What is the situation back on the ground? Both of you have traveled, the Prof. Angwafo, the third, and Mr. Elango. You, Zacchaeus, both of you have traveled. You've traveled from the Southwest just for this program. We mean that you are on the ground. You have traveled from the Northwest for this program. You left Bamenda yesterday. What is the situation out there?
Well, you know, we are in a situation where it's like a seesaw. There are moments where we can virtually say that all is fine. You heard in the press review of the women in Babanki who were, thank God, released. But we have a second member of the Regional Assembly who was taken into captivity after the 20th May celebrations in Ndih and the council. After he had finished those celebrations, they were launching the Peace and Development Initiative dialogue seminars and work. As he was returning to Bamenda, he was kidnapped.
So he's still in captivity?
Yes, as far as I know, up to this morning, he still is. But on the whole, things are far better today than we met them a few years ago. And things are moving. I think the community is getting to take ownership of the current situation. And that's precisely why you have the population voicing their concerns and taking action, like was the case in Babanki. So we think that, like all crises of this nature, they build up, they simmer and build up, and then when the right treatment is given, it takes time to heal, so it takes time to go. But it's certainly much better today in 2023 than it was in 2017, 2018, and it's been progressive, moving forward.
When
positively.
A member of your assembly, like the one you talk about, is kidnapped, what moves do you take? I want now to take advantage, take this opportunity. You talk about the one who was kidnapped from Ndah, on his way back from Ndah, but we have even the president of the House of Chiefs who has been in captivity. Do you take any measures to see what's done that we get those people?
Of course. You know, the security is an area which is not in the purview of the regional assembly. That is not part of our job description or competencies. But on a human basis, we try to dialogue with the concerns. And in the case of the recent member, we are in contact with the coordinator, the divisional coordinator for Momo, and we have seen the necessary individuals and head of the security apparatus in the region. So I think, and that was the same case with the women taken captive in Babanki, as is the case with our vice president. So what we can do is purely on a humanitarian and social basis. As far as the nitty-gritties for what should be done in terms of security and all, that's out of our purview.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eliango Zacchaeus. What's the situation on the ground in the Southwest region? You are the Regional Assembly President.
The situation on the ground, I think, is progressively improving. If we are here today, we left the Southwest yesterday. If we are here today, it's just an indication of the fact that the situation today compared to 2016, 2017, 2018 is improving. I think people are going about their activities progressively, unlike before. Although we still have some localities which are facing huge security challenges, but I think globally the situation has tremendously improved.
Are there some special measures that you coordinate as the President of the Regional Assembly to make sure that the situation gets even faster, that you fast track the normalcy that we need, that we all need?
Yeah, as my colleague of the Northwest region rightly said, security actually is not within our competence, but we have a cardinal role to play. We continue to educate our population because you agree with me, so many years back when the crisis started, the population did not collaborate with the defense and security forces. But today that they know it is established beyond reasonable doubt that the people who claim to be fighting for their freedom are the same people molesting them, making life very miserable for them. So they are collaborating with the local administration, defense and security forces to see how this whole disorder can be contained. So that is why we have realized a remarkable improvement in the security situation in the Southwest region.
Thank you very much, and you said something which we have to lay emphasis on. The collaboration between the population, that the local inhabitants, the security forces and all other living forces in the area. It is only in that respect that we can at one point think that everything is getting back to normal and faster. Richard, you last week you were in Bamenda. You are used to going to the northwest, especially the regional capital. You dashed up there and back here. What is your own story about the situation? I'm talking about Bamenda. You were even in the southwest. After coming from Bamenda, you dashed to the southwest, which means you have another story to confirm what the two presidents have said.
Exactly, Kilian. I think my story is not different from what they have said, because I'll give you the Bamenda for example. I mean, I've been able to move freely, move to some of those areas that usually one couldn't go, but I'm able to move to those places, and of course share with friends, sometimes late in the evening, but not into the night, late in the evening, and I'm able to go back home undisturbed. Nobody disturbs me on the way. And I think, like they have said, it is thanks to the collaboration between the population, the local population, and the defense and security forces, because through this collaboration, a lot of things are being done. You know, for example, I know of areas where that put military base, and it makes it difficult for these our brothers and sisters who are clamoring for an independent state to actually penetrate. You know, one thing which usually characterized Bamenda was kidnapping, and unfortunately most of these routes that these guys take, they have all been blocked, because there you have a military base, so you can't really go a kilometer without having at least security forces standing somewhere. I think that's a good move. I was in the southwest, like you said. I actually spent some days in Boya, and I would say Boya, to the best of my knowledge, is fast becoming more peaceful than we have the northwest. In Boya, people will drink 24/7. You see taxis moving. If you arrive at the bus station, say 2 a.m., there are taxis already there to pick you up. It is not the same thing in Bamenda. At sometimes 8 p.m., there are some...
there.
In fact, it becomes a dead city. The commercial hub of the region is Bamenda town. Sometimes by 8 p.m., you don't find even a provision store to buy something. But if you move over to another subdivision closer, you find that life is actually booming. That's what most people sometimes will leave Bamenda 2 and move to Bamenda 3 or Bamenda 1 to enjoy themselves. I'm sure the regional president can bear witness to that, because I'm sure he lives in Bamenda 1. He'll bear witness to me that life upstation is better off than you find it downtown. In Bamenda 2 downtown.
Yes, thank you very much. We know the president, as he said, at their level they can only do what is humanly possible, to go for human relationship, collaboration with the population, educating, sensitizing people to know that nobody benefits from any violence, nobody takes advantage of other people to do anything. Yes, Prof, you wanted to add something before?
Yes, let me...
I say exactly, Richard, we're talking about from at one time you could not leave Mutengene to Boya town through my 16, and the people of that area decided to go and even open relaxation places in that my 16. I don't know whether that is still the case now, Mr. President.
No, exactly that is the case as Richard has just said. In Boya, 24 hours on 24, you go down to Morocco, you see young people enjoying themselves. Taxis circulate 24 hours on 24. Even Mike 16, which was hitherto dreaded, Mike 16 has no problem. I just want to say that the traffic between Boya to Limbe, Boya to Chico and Douala is 7 days a week and 24 hours on 24.
Yes, sorry, I just interrupted because we had to be going with the flow, with the current of the discussion. Yes, Mr. President, Professor.
I think we have a structured response to this. The Peace and Development Initiative, which is a region-wide response. Because what is the problem really is that fear had captured people, division had become the order of the day, so people were even afraid to visit or talk to one another. So there was a psychosocial program that starts from the base, and each division, each subdivision, and eventually the villages and quarters have committees that do basically three things: getting people to meet and discuss on their issues, making what they need to do. And that is why you see populations moving up. You can see that through this initiative, divisions have been meeting, talking positively about what to do to collaborate with everyone. In the peace and development committees, everybody counts. Everybody's voice is there. And because in this situation, what happened? We lost administrative authority, we lost traditional authority, we lost spiritual authority. That was practically an anarchy, a chaotic situation. So there is a structured response, and youth groups, women groups, the church, the imams, pastors, priests, the traditional rulers, mayors, municipal councils, they are bona fide members of these groups, and we basically do what? Listen to the voice of different groups, source their problems, and we design solutions. We go about it, it's not just talk and seminars, but we've revived the community spirit, community work, and I think you will see villages in competition to see who is able to get their people together and do work. And in that vein, everybody counts. It is everybody's business, and we become one another's keepers. The military being part of us, the administration being part of us, everybody. And in this, remember, the father of the nation, the head of state, said, we have wronged. Let us pardon one another. That cannot happen if we are not meeting together, if we are not eyeballing one another and saying what is necessary, without stereotyping anyone and addressing the positive things that will make us grow as a people.
Wow. You see, I was looking at you with admiration when you were bringing out those points. I think that's exactly what we think we should do. And we stay with the notion of the regional assembly. The Northwest and the Southwest have regional assemblies. The other 8 regions of Cameroon have regional councils, which means this is where there is a difference. The difference is in the special status. How do we see this? Do you live and touch this special status? I begin with you, the President of the Southwest Regional Assembly.
Yeah, of course we live and touch the special status.
Maybe we should even start by underlining what it's the contents of this special status in the point form.
Yeah, for the information of our viewers, especially the man on the street, the law has been designed in such a way that our two regions of English expression, the Northwest and the Southwest, benefit from a special status. The first manifestation of the special status is that we have regional assemblies. Our brothers on the other side of the Mingo, they have regional councils. Our assemblies are bicameral assemblies. We have, I speak for the Southwest, it's the same thing for the Northwest. We have in our assembly we have two houses. That's why the bicameral nature of our assembly. We have the House of Divisional Representatives, comprised of 70 members, invested by political parties and elected by a defined electoral college as municipal councillors. We have the House of Chiefs, comprised of 20 members, traditional rulers, elected by their peers, elected by other traditional rulers. And so when we meet in the regional assembly, summoned by the president of the regional assembly, after consultation with the representative of the state as provided for by the law, we first meet together as 90. When we meet at 90 during the plenary, thereafter we break up into the two houses. The House of Divisional Representatives sits separately from the House of Chiefs. And when the House of Chiefs sits, the House of Chiefs has a president. The president of the House of Chiefs, who obviously is a traditional ruler. And this time, when we are sitting in the House of Divisional Representatives, the president of the regional assembly becomes the president of the House of Divisional Representatives.
Okay.
I want to say this, as I've had the occasion to say in other instances, that the president of the regional assembly, according to the law, is president 3 times. He's president of the regional assembly when we meet 90 of us. He's president of the House of Divisional Representatives when the divisional representative sits separately from the House of Chiefs, and is also the president of the Regional Executive Council.
Okay.
The Regional Executive Council is the executive and administrative arm of the Regional Assembly. He is in charge of the day-to-day management of the Regional Assembly.
Yes, I think you've stated well. Are there some other elements that you want to add to what we put into the contents of the special status, Prof?
Oh, there is a whole lot. There is a whole lot. First of all, the Regional Executive Council exists only in the Southwest and the Northwest. Elsewhere, there are regional bureaus. And we have collegial or parliamentary type of functioning at that instance. Secondly, we have in the distribution of functions within the regional executive councils, we have a president who is from the House of Divisional Representatives, and then we have the vice president who must be from the House of Chiefs, and we have something that is peculiar to these two regions, is commissioners. Commissioners responsible for policies, one in economic development, another one in education, culture and sports, and another one in health and social development. This is peculiar to the Northwest and Southwest. Then the rest, we have 2 secretaries and a quaestor. It is important to know that there is also an entirely independent structure, the Public Independent Conciliator, that exists only in these 2 regions. And when we go further, the House of Chiefs has specific attributes and responsibilities in the law itself. They take care of monuments, vestiges, oral tradition, and they are deliberating and thinking and seeing how they can modernize chieftaincy. So this is, to me, the substance of the special status, and we believe that the community dialogue, the dialogue that the traditional rulers are having with their representatives in the House of Chiefs, will move us forward, and that's what that is special.
Yes, before I move to President Elango, can we say that we're all what both of you have said, given that the special status has as its motivation the fact that the Northwest and Southwest have to have a special cultural heritage which they had. So that's why it is. Can we say the Northwest and Southwest, with all what you have said, are leaving this cultural identity of theirs, which became a problem? We are talking about culture in general, but specifically about the law and language, because those two have to be highlighted, but other aspects have to come in.
Certainly, I think that if you look at our standing orders, the Northwest Regional Assembly deliberated and they have a logo. That logo speaks to what the Northwest Assembly thinks the Northwest is. And it talks of the values dear to them: peace, justice, unity, hard work, solidarity, with a slogan: you na me na you, we be we.
Wow.
A profound call that everyone counts.
Okay.
So, who will make, and you say we are special because of our culture. Of course we are special because of our culture. But culture, as you know, is a canopy that covers everything about your life. And culture, like every society, evolves. And what's better, especially the House of Chiefs, is called to be at the anchor of the evolving culture.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That said, Richard, just one word you've heard, and in 1 minute, we should be getting back to normalcy faster than we are doing, because in terms of having several things that some people from the Northwest and Southwest felt they were kept behind on, we are getting along, going back to some of the values that we thought we had lost while being in the same country.
Yes, Kilian, in the first place, I want to say these regional assemblies are actually taking us back to what we used to have, like the House of Chiefs, and
which we also have today.
Today. And one thing that I really still have some mixed feelings about these regional assemblies is the fact that they don't have autonomous powers. They still depend on the central administration for a lot of things, in the sense that they have very limited powers, because if you look at the situation on the ground, I want to talk about development, which is supposed to be one of the things that they are supposed to champion to bring development in the regions. It is really far-fetched. I would appreciate the Southwest Regional Council or Assembly. They've been doing quite a lot within that area, carrying out development projects in almost all the divisions and subdivisions. I mean, visible projects within the divisions and subdivisions. The situation is different in the Northwest, where I'm happy the President talked about. They've been trying to, dialogue to bring peace, to making sure that there is peace before they'll start getting into this development. I think instead of spending much time building peace, we should also spend some time in putting up visible projects. If we have visible projects, we don't, you will see the peace coming naturally. You don't need to tell somebody, this thing that we should we should do this. If a good road passes somewhere and the population is happy, I don't think anybody of reasonable sense will move to...
Richard, let me ask you this question on that point. Does peace comes first before construction, or construction comes first before peace? From your logic.
Kilian, the situation in which we are, for the past 3 or 4 years, we have been talking about peace, that waiting for peace to reign before we carry out development project. And within this period, nothing concrete as in terms of peace can really be seen if we don't have visible projects.
Okay, when by the end of this program,
and that is why you see the reconstruction plan is carrying out projects.
We'll talk about that. By the end of this program, probably when you go, your end is in Bamenda town. You will see what the Northwest is doing. But before that, since you already brought that up, I'm going to let us see some of the realizations that the Regional Assembly from the Southwest has been carrying out. Yes, let's just a few minutes and watch this. Yes, I know we're going
Napina minde motapope la kesa mausa unumbe ingina uni kuya ebulu yanko ale malpuni mabando Asamboloba na wonu la kira Napina minde motapope la kesa mausa Unungwe inginya uoligwe wono yanko Eje ya mwone malundi mabango Akaramia wono Tati unde akaramia wono Akaramia wono Tati unde akaramia wono Aweki mayonnaise, aweki wali, aweki zombe Niko wa homanu, maike onungweli jeka
What that is like?
Himbana ke kawayo, himbana ke kawazamba, himbana ke kawachema lowae Nanindi longeli weli, wandi nikama vita Iwanja wando weli, mutimbeli, imumezala Iwanja wando weli, mutimbeli, imumezala Iwanja wando weli, mutimbeli, imumezala Wanjo wando weli ibutimbeli imumezala Papa, j'ai dit merci de m'avoir donné la force et le courage d'enfanter et de relever les défis de la vie. Papa, il n'y a que toi dans ma vie t'appartient. Allô, allô, allô,
you watch with us some of those projects that are being carried out by the Southwest Regional Assembly. You are here, Mr. President. We were just watching. Could you recapitulate some of those things, because there are people who probably just listen to the sound and they don't know exactly what we have seen.
Yeah, I want to to begin by saying that we have opted for, at the level of the Southwest Regional Assembly, we've opted for a bottom-top approach. We organize regular town hall meetings because the crisis notwithstanding, we think that our people have a right to development. So we go down the field to the 6 divisions of the region. We sit with the population and they give us their priorities. If from the video that we have just watched, we see, for example, like a borehole at the Mile 17 Motor Park, the bus stop at Boya, and because the population there made us to understand that
I saw when I went to Boya last time, I saw
that they need water.
Yeah.
We in the health domain, we have built 2 modern maternity blocks in Ikondo Titi, in Guti. We have equally built a magnificent 1-story building at the Kumba Regional Hospital Annex, which will serve as the administrative block of the said health facility. Because when we went down to Kumba, the hospital authorities made us to understand that with the transformation of the district hospital into regional hospital annex, more and more consulting doctors were posted to that health facility, and they now have enough space for
and there is this one I saw in Kumba. Is it the one that was burnt down, or is it a new one?
No, this is a new one.
Okay,
this is a new one
on the same site?
Yeah, the same site, but see there's enough land.
Okay.
Yes, it's...
So the people of Kumba do not have to be worried anymore?
Yes, so...
Okay, thank you. We are going to take... Richard never knew that in the Northwest there is so much also that is being done. We are going to watch some of the realizations that are palpable from the Northwest region. Richard, please. Yes. Can we have the video?
Uno no say na you be the best. Uno no say na you be one mama oh. Come on, let's do it now. Mama me Let me tell you something about this, my little mama. All the woman will give me to grow and make me a man. Thank you, for the love you showed me. Without you, Papa Mendai, I don't think existed. Thank you, Papa Mendai. Thank you, Mama. God bless my mama. For the sacrifice for your children, I am proud of you. You are rich. I am proud of you. You are strong. You defeat the road, your mama. Like Africa in the wonderland. Papa Mendai.
Yes, Richard, you must have changed your mind. I have those are just some of the images we got from what is happening in Northwest region by the Northwest Regional Assembly, and I know they have so much in terms of social actions for peaceful coexistence and building stronger communities. The president is right here. You could talk to us about some of the things that we've not seen here because of shortage of images.
Thank you, Kilian. I am happy to be able to respond to, I'm sure it's a purposeful false declaration. You will be amazed that for 2 years we've done rehabilitation of palaces and schools, 25 places.
25.
Regional roads in our purview that has been worked. We had a landslide. The regional road to Mfundo was cut off, and that was done. We have 3 other regional roads being done, and this is big money from the road fund. We have, as far as constructions are concerned, we've gotten 15 with schools, and the big deal is our regional headquarters and guest house, which will start construction this year. For water, sir, we had the Bamunka borehole, Bamunka Palace in Ndah. We have Batu Palace this year, and others. I can't tell you about equipping schools. We did the studies that showed that 41 schools were destroyed and stuff, and we are rehabilitating and building progressively. CAST had 2 classrooms built, 100 desks supplied. We supplied over 7 schools with desks. Health, rehabilitation of the Akko and Batibo district hospitals, the Oku and Mwa mortuaries, emergency rooms to be constructed, money there, project mature, in the new regional annex hospital in Kambe and in the present regional hospital. Sourcing for money for a rehabilitation, mental and physical rehabilitation regional center. All of this is through participatory development. If you go to our text, the code that I see in front of you, section 40 and 41,
the general
speaks
code
to
of
citizen
regional
participation.
and local authorities.
And indeed, the Peace and Development Committee that you think is a far-fetched thing is basically the community taking ownership of its time, because they are involved in giving us what their problem is, designing the solution, and we are there to partner with the community and give them resources, material and financial, through high intensity labor activities. Yes. So I am, and I could go on and on today.
Yes, yes.
I think it was a teaser.
Yeah, Richard, please.
Let me just say a word.
You don't want to, or you want to give a tender apologies for having said
let me just
things
say
that are
something. I appreciate Prof for what he said. I mean, enumerating this project and what we have watched, and I think something is still maybe lacking somewhere.
We are going to ask them in perspective what they are planning to do. Please, let me ask them, after having watched what they are doing, and they are announcing that they have so much, I want to ask them how they manage to carry out these projects and plan to do more with a budget of, for what I know, 3 billion CFA funds for regional assembly. How do you do that?
The answer is simple. Where there's a will, there's a way. It is not how much, it's not the volume of money that you have which will enable you to realize some of those projects to cater for the welfare of our people. We know that one of the problems that we have today is no secret to anybody, is that since independence, our system was a bit centralized. The decision-making center was Yaoundé. And so we are very grateful to the head of state. He listened to the cry of the people and decided to decentralize so that we can find local solutions to local problems. That is the secret. So I think, so when you see us doing what we are doing presently, the amount of money is not important. It's just when the people say this is what we want and we think we have some small resources, we do it. And by doing that also, we are calming down the situation. And that is why when we started the first year, our actions and activities were in the urban centers. The second year we have gone further, and this year we shall even go into what hitherto was known as the red zones.
Yes, Prof. You obviously need more money. Are you taking measures to have from government, because this is centralization, the devolution of competencies involved, important financial resources? Are you making sure that this 3 billion limited budget for regional assemblies is increased?
Well, the first thing I would say is I stand on what my colleague from the Southwest has said. It is also the quality. And how do you get money for projects? You must have mature projects. You must have good studies, mature the projects so that they are bankable. When you have bankable projects, you get funding.
Okay.
Beyond what government gives us, I'll tell you for instance, we had partnership with MedShare Atlanta. They sent us stuff that was worth 137 million. That didn't come from Yaoundé. All the 20 districts in the Northwest had medical supplies, had equipment, and even what you say the red zone, all the 20 districts had. Smile Train is another technical financial partner. They're working. And what's even better is working with the civil society and other community-based organizations. We don't have limits.
Thank you. Thank you very
and
much.
I want to continue, please.
Richard, you see that I'm struggling to stop Prof, and he has so much that you didn't know. Yes, Prof, we have Mr. Cho N.S. Ngu, who has come in. I know he must have had difficulties reaching here. That's why he has come a little late. He is the director in charge of human resources in the Ministry of Decentralization and Local Authorities in Ndifon. You're welcome to our set.
Thank you, Kilian.
Yes, there is a problem of resources in the regional assemblies, in the regional councils. What do you have to say about that? You are in charge of human resources.
In fact, it's usually said that no organization can do anything without the human resources needed. We say the value of any institution depends on those who man them, because we know that institutions are legal personalities. But then, for them to act, for them to do meaningful change, it must be depending on who is manning them. I'm happy that I have by my side two very competent leaders of our regional assemblies. But then, do they have the human resources? I mean, by human resources, I mean those that are going to help them implement. They have the ideas. Remember, we have two different levels there. We have the deliberative organ, headed by the elected bureaus. Now, how do they work?
Tell us, because you are the titular ministry.
Exactly. And remember, sometime last year, the President of the Republic signed a decree to set out the standard organization chart of the regions. You can only have people to work in the regions by position, and those positions are well spread out. It so happens now that of the 10 regional councils, and that let me say 8 regional councils and 2 regional assemblies. Remember, we must always do that dichotomy. 6 already have their organizational charts approved.
Which are these
6? The littoral, the far north, the Adamawa, the south, the center, and the east.
Okay.
And the west. Yeah, that's 7. 7 and the west. Unfortunately for me, my 2
regions.
Yep. From our own
regional assemblies.
Till date, haven't had their organizational charts approved. Now they have been able to do certain things, but sometimes we wonder, those people who they work with, at one point you will find out that you might have some frustrations there, because they don't have any legal basis of their
staff
recruitment.
Yes.
Because you can only recruit people to man a position. And I want to seize this opportunity that you are giving me. We have worked with Bailango of Boya. We have worked with Prof. And I think the last time they had their regional assembly, the sessions, and they said they were finally going to send their organizational chart for the approval of the ministers. Yes. 2 other ones have not, but I prefer to make my plea to my 2 past who are here, because we have to put those who are working with them, we have to give them a legal status. Thank you.
Okay. We have to
May I
thank
say
you.
something?
Yes, you have come here to speak, please.
On
We cannot hold you.
the organizational chart. The organizational chart is in the pipeline. We have promised that before now.
Fine.
It would have been submitted, forwarded to the supervisory ministry.
He's waiting for them.
Yeah, we tendered, we tabled it before the regional assembly. We deliberated upon it at the next level. Some of the elections were made and the file was returned to us. I think during the next session,
You have that
the
done.
correction will be made and
Thank you. That's what the minister was.
Yes, Richard.
Yes, Kilian, I actually want to raise, earlier on I said, you see, the regional assemblies still depend so much on the central administration. And this brings me to this issue. Prof mentioned about constructing a regional headquarters, which to the best of my knowledge and from what I get on the ground, the people think that that would be a misplaced priority if they have to construct a regional assembly worth, I may be wrong, 16 billion francs. That is money which the population think that could be used to develop all the subdivisions.
I have
of
an
the region.
idea on that file. I have actually worked on it with the Special Support Fund for Mutual Assistance. It is not coming directly from their budget, it's coming from
As a loan.
No, what about Kilian?
Yes.
I think in the long run, it will be more economical for the regional assemblies to have their own structures built by them.
Exactly.
Remember, what they are doing now is rent. And remember, each time per month, at the end of the day, what is more economical for them? To own their own homes or to be paying rent?
To own their
Let me come back to a cultural problem.
No, it's better.
Sir, we do a business plan. We do studies. We know how much we are spending now. We know, and when you take a loan, there is a duration. There is much. So please, get my population to grow. Let's not sit in antiquity and say just go and build. All these things are studied, and you will not be given money if you don't have a bankable project.
Okay.
So I am expecting that you, gentlemen of the media, the press, lift the cultural level. Don't sit and say that you think that somebody will go and give you a 7 billion or 5 billion loan when the project is not bankable?
Not at all. Yes,
So that is what is important, sir. And I'm happy that beyond, out of the 3 billion, we can get monies from other sources. I think it's a good thing.
Which is good.
Yes, this will be your last word. We have about 2 minutes to go to the end of this program. Yes, Mr. Elango Zacchaeus Bakoma, the Assembly President for the Southwest. What are we going to take back home that you're going to tell our people? You came to Yawunda and proposed that we need more things to be done for the region.
No, I think the first thing I have to tell our people is that our people must have faith in the head of state policy of decentralization. At the beginning, some of them did not believe. They said that the regional assembly, what is it? We have already seen what we are doing. And so they should have hope that we will do more. Contrary to what my memo on the right said, we need our permanent headquarters. The organizational chart that the director just is a huge structure. So we need a convenient place where our people can work, can reflect, do studies to enable and improve and transform the lives of our people.
Thank you very much. We need that. Just 30 seconds. We didn't give you enough time because...
Thank
30
you.
seconds, please.
Kilian. You see, when each time we talk about decentralization, we should always have in the back of our minds that it is not independence.
Okay.
The state guarantees decentralization by putting in place an enabling environment for our regional and local authorities to move. That is why between the end of last year and this year, the President of the Republic finally signed 6 decrees on the different domains of decentralization in environment, secondary education, health and health, leisure, and tourism.
Thank you very much. We don't have much time. We have exhausted our time. We want to thank you, Mr. Cho N.S. Ngu, who has just spoken. We want to thank you, Richard Ndelajon, who is the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Herald Tribune newspaper. May we express our gratitude to the Mr. Elango Zacchaeus Bakoma, who is the Regional Assembly President from the Southwest Region, and Professor Fu Angwa for the third, who still wants to say, well, we know that before we started concluding this program, we had a very good conclusion already. We want to thank you very much for taking time off.
Rome wasn't built in a day, sir. Our people should exercise judicious, measured patience and give us all the support so that we come to them, we plan together, we implement together, we monitor together, and then they can judge.
You are from Bermuda for this program. I could not let you go without that. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. There will be a full broadcast of this program on Monday at 2:30. Thanks once again for your time.